Breaking news! There's a growing tension that could explode before the end of the season. The kind of tension that's been building for years. From the front office to the locker room, this team is on the brink of something big, something no one wants to say out loud, but everyone's thinking about. And if you've been following closely, you already know what's coming. But what if the signs were there all along, and we just didn't want to believe them? But before we dive into the chaos, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you want, comment Go Ravens below. Let's show that this fan base remains strong, no matter what happens. Let's dive straight into it. There's no sugarcoating this. This Ravens defense, once touted as elite, is now under a microscope. Fans have been praising their dominance all season, but a recent stat is rattling cages. Against elite quarterbacks like Josh Allen, Jared Goff, Patrick Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, and Joe Burrow, the Ravens defense has surrendered a staggering 31.7 points per game. Contrast that with just 13.6 points per game allowed to second-tier or struggling QBs like Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, J.J. McCarthy, and Dylan Gabriel. It's a drastic difference. It paints a picture of a unit that's phenomenal against the average, but gets exposed when the lights are brightest. Now, context matters. Matthew Stafford and Caleb Williams were included in that elite QB stat cluster, but the Ravens actually held them to 17 and 16 points respectively. That alone disrupts the whole narrative. If anything, it highlights that numbers can deceive without the full story. But when you're allowing 41 points to Josh Allen, 44 to C.J. Stroud, and 38 to Jared Goff, there's no way to escape the truth. This defense still has a lot to prove. And let's talk about that Bengals game. First half, the Ravens defense looked like world beaters. They were backed into impossible positions by offensive turnovers, yet they bent, didn't break, kept Joe Burrow and the Bengals out of the end zone. But then the second half hit, and whether it was fatigue, a lack of adjustments, or just getting outclassed, they folded. That contrast has fans asking the tough question, are we watching fool's gold again, just like last year? It doesn't stop there. The offensive side of the ball is equally concerning. Lamar Jackson, despite moments of brilliance, has become a lightning rod for criticism. One fan put it bluntly, calling Lamar hot garbage this year, demanding the franchise keeps only Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton, and Nate Wiggins, and trades away everything else. It's a harsh take, and most Ravens fans would agree it's too extreme, but it does underscore the frustration that's boiling over. There's an emotional weariness setting in. This is a fan base that knows it has talent, but can't figure out why the puzzle isn't fitting together. They're watching a team that looks like contenders one week and completely disjointed the next. The identity crisis is real. Some fans are even floating the idea of blowing it all up, questioning if John Harbaugh should go, if Eric DeCosta is failing to build a true contender, and even if Lamar's time in Baltimore should come to an end. Then there's the pass rush, or lack thereof. One fan pointed out that the team's sack leader had only 2.5 sacks. That's not striking fear into anyone. And the edge rusher issue isn't new. It's been neglected in the draft and free agency for too long. The same way Ozzie Newsome once overlooked wide receivers, it seems EDC has overlooked the need to get after the quarterback consistently. That has consequences. When you face quarterbacks like Mahomes or Allen, if you don't pressure them, you're toast. But here's where it really gets wild. Some fans are seriously speculating that this could be Lamar Jackson's last season in Baltimore. Not because he's not talented, but because of frustration on both sides. If Lamar feels unprotected, unsupported, or simply unappreciated, he could waive that no-trade clause and look for a new beginning. And Minnesota? That's a name that keeps popping up. Solid defense, elite weapons in Jefferson and Addison. It's a fit that scares some Ravens fans to death. Others think it's not just Lamar who might walk. It's offensive coordinator Todd Monken who could be gone first. And if that happens, what's left? Another rebuild? A complete identity shift? Because here's the thing, this second half of the season isn't just about wins and losses anymore. It's about identity. It's about whether the Baltimore Ravens are still built to compete with today's NFL heavyweights, or if the cracks we're seeing are about to split wide open. Let's go back to the offense for a moment. There's a growing sentiment among fans that Lamar Jackson is being failed, not by his talent, but by the very infrastructure around him. The offensive line has been suspect all season long. And in the most critical games, it hasn't just underperformed, it's collapsed. Emory Jones, a right tackle by trade, has been plugged in at left guard. That's like taking a surgeon and asking him to fly a plane. Sure, both are professionals, but they're built for different challenges. The lack of continuity and proper personnel on this line is putting Lamar at risk, and fans are noticing. And when Lamar does get the ball out, sometimes it's magic. Other times, it's marred by penalties or drops or fumbles that aren't on him. Against the Bengals, he threw a perfect pass to Isaiah Likely, who then fumbled at the 1-yard line. Another touchdown pass got wiped off the board by an offensive pass interference call. The stat sheet might tell you Lamar threw a pick, but in reality, it was a tip ball after Likely got pushed backward into the throwing lane. Context matters, but so does execution. And it's becoming more and more apparent that this offense lacks both rhythm and resilience when it's needed most. That brings us back to coaching, and fans are fed up. John Harbaugh, the steady hand who brought a Super Bowl to Baltimore, is now facing louder calls than ever to step aside. Not because he's lost the locker room, he hasn't, but because the results aren't there. There's a feeling that he's lost his edge. That loyalty to assistants or outdated philosophies is holding this team back. And when fans start saying things like, let Harbaugh take a back seat, or bring someone in to challenge him, you know it's no longer just frustration. It's erosion of belief. As for Todd Monken, his time in Baltimore could be very short-lived. The flashes of innovation we were promised, they've been rare, too rare. And when things go wrong, it doesn't seem like this offense has a plan B. The result? Turnovers. 5 of them in one game. That's not just on Lamar. That's on the whole operation. And still, in the middle of all this chaos, there are guys fighting. Kyle Hamilton is having a breakout year. Zay Flowers continues to flash as a future WR1. Nate Wiggins shows elite potential. There's young talent here, enough to build around. But is it enough to cover up the foundational issues? That's the question. Even special teams, once a point of pride for Baltimore, is in flux. Lujante Wester, the dynamic return man, seems shaken. A fumble weeks ago might have crushed his confidence, and fans are questioning whether he's being restricted by the coaching staff now. When your return unit hesitates, your offense starts deeper. When your offense sputters, your defense is under constant pressure. It's all connected, and right now, it feels like the entire machine is misfiring. The Ravens' schedule doesn't ease up. Aaron Rodgers could be back. Joe Burrow again. Drake May. Jordan Love. Aaron Rodgers again. There are no more layups. Every single game from here on out is a proving ground, not just for playoff positioning, but for the franchise's direction. And while we're talking about the road ahead, let's not forget the psychological toll all this inconsistency can take, not just on the fans, but on the players themselves. You can see it in their body language. You can hear it in the post-game interviews. This team looks tired, not physically, but mentally, from constantly having to answer questions about whether they're for real, from fighting uphill battles due to coaching decisions, questionable rotations, and game plans that don't always play to their strengths. It's not just about XS and OS anymore, it's about belief. Belief in the system, belief in leadership, and belief that this team is being built to win now, not just survive week to week. And for the fans, they're not angry because they don't care. They're angry because they do. Because they've seen what Lamar Jackson can do with just a little help. Because they remember what it was like when the Ravens were feared, not doubted. That's why every turnover, every blown lead, every missed opportunity feels heavier. This team still controls its destiny, but the clock is ticking. And this next stretch of games may not just determine playoff seeding. It may determine the future of the entire franchise.